9. Heritage Management 9.1 Sources of History, their Conservation and Preservation 9.2 Some Famous Museums 9.3 Libraries and Archives 9.4 Encyclopedias The sources of history and all the history books that are available today are the results of the diligent work of several historians. Institutes like libraries, museums, and archives conserve and preserve this precious historical heritage. They choose important specimens from the heritage collection and exhibit them. They also publish research journals, informative pamphlets, leaflets, posters, etc. The documents and artifacts which are not exhibited but historically very important, are stored in the museums and archives after completing necessary treatments for their conservation and preservation. Those documents and artifacts are made available to researchers, as and whenever necessary. Libraries conserve, preserve, and manage the books. 9.1 Sources of History, their conservation and preservation. Each step like collecting the sources of history, creating their records and indexes, exhibiting manuscripts, old books, and artifacts after completing necessary treatments requires very careful handling and management. It needs people with specific skills. Only trained persons, who are duly qualified, can take up these tasks. 1. Oral sources of history, collecting and compiling of folk songs and folk tales, etc. Classifying, analyzing and interpreting the compiled material. Publishing the results of respective research. Necessary training: 1. Sociology and anthropology, 2. Social psychology, 3. Mythology and linguistics, 4. Library science and information technology, 5. History and historical research method, 6. Writing of research reports and articles. 2. Written sources of history, collecting coins and copper plates with inscription on them, documents like official records, personal correspondence, and diaries, historical books, old books, manuscripts, pictures, photographs, etc. Completing necessary mechanical and chemical processes of cleaning for the conservation and preservation of collected documents. Ascertaining the historical value of collected documents. Exhibiting selected documents. Publishing edited documents and research reports. Necessary training: 1. Knowledge of scripts like Brahmi, Modi, Persian, and their development. 2. Basic knowledge of social organization and traditions, literature and culture, dynasties, administrative systems, etc. of past societies. 3. Knowledge of various schools and styles of painting and sculptural art and history of their development. 4. Knowledge of types of paper, ink, and colors. 59. 5. Knowledge of properties of various stones and metals used for inscriptions. 6. Knowledge of the equipment and chemicals used in various processes of cleaning, conservation, and preservation. 7. Knowledge of various approaches of managing exhibitions in museums, galleries, and information technology. 8. Writing research reports and articles. 3. Material sources of history, collecting artifacts, classifying them according to their historical date and type, and preparing indexes. Completing necessary mechanical and chemical processes of cleaning for the conservation and preservation of collected documents. Arranging exhibitions of selected artifacts or their replicas. Writing and publishing research articles about collected artifacts. Classifying fossils of plants and animals and preparing indexes. Exhibiting selected fossils or their replicas. Necessary training: 1. Basic knowledge of archaeological method and theory, history of ancient civilizations. 2. Knowledge of the regional sources of materials like stones, minerals, metals, and clay used in the production of artifacts and their chemical properties. 3. Knowledge of equipment and chemicals necessary for the cleaning of artifacts and other chemical processes. 4. Knowledge of various schools and styles of arts and their development. 5. Knowledge and skills of making replicas, models, of artifacts and fossils. 6. Knowledge of various approaches of managing exhibitions in museums, galleries, and information technology. 7. Writing research reports and articles. 9.2 Some famous museums. Museums were created to organize and manage the antiquities collected by members of royal and elite families of medieval Europe. Louvre Museum, France. The Louvre Museum in Paris was established in the 18th century CE. Antiquities collected by members of the royal family were exhibited in the Louvre Museum. It included the much-acclaimed painting of Mona Lisa by Leonardo da Vinci, the world-renowned artist. He worked Mona Lisa under the patronage of Francis I, the King of France in the 16th century. The collection in the Louvre Museum increased to a great extent because of the antiquities brought back by Napoleon Bonaparte from his conquests. Presently, the museum contains more than 380,000 artifacts. British Museum, England. The British Museum in London was established in the 18th century CE. Sir Hans Sloane, a natural scientist, handed over about 71,000 objects in his collection to the King of England, George II. It included several books, pictures, specimens of preserved plants, herbarium, etc. Later the collection was expanded by addition of various art objects and ancient artifacts collected by the British people from 60 British colonies. Presently the museum collection comprises about 80 lock objects. You would like to know this: famous museums in India. The following are some of the famous museums in India: Indian Museum, Kolkata; National Museum, Delhi; Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj Vastusangrahalaya, Mumbai; Salajang Museum, Hyderabad; the Calico Museum of Textiles, Ahmedabad. British Museum, England. National Museum of Natural History, United States of America. This Museum of Natural History, managed by the Smithsonian Institution, was established in 1846 CE. It houses more than 12 crore, 120 millions, specimens of fossils and remains of plants and animals, minerals, rocks, human fossils, and artifacts. Delhi, in 1949. Presently, there are several museums in various states of India. Usually the big museums have their own archives and libraries. Some museums are affiliated to universities. Such museums also offer courses in museology. Following are some of the well-known institutes and universities, which offer degree and diploma courses in museology. 1. National Museum, Delhi. 2. Maharaj Sayajirao University, Vadodara. 3. Kolkata University, Kolkata. 4. Banaras Hindu University, Varanasi. 5. Aligarh Muslim University, Aligarh. 6. Jivahi University, Gwalior. National Museum of Natural History. Museums in India. The first museum in India, Indian Museum, was established by Asiatic Society of Bengal in Kolkata, in 1814 CE. The second museum in India, Government Museum, was established in Chennai, in 1851 CE. The National Museum was established in Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj Vastusangrahalaya, in 1904 CE. Some influential residents of Mumbai decided to establish a museum to commemorate the visit of Prince of Wales to India. In the month of November of 1905 CE, the foundation was laid of the museum building. It was decided that the name of the museum would be Prince of Wales Museum of Western India. It was renamed as Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj Vastusangrahalaya. In 1998 CE 61 Tanjavur, Tamil Nadu was built in 16th to 17th century, during the times of Nayak dynasty. In 1675 CE Vyankojaraj Bhosale conquered Tanjavur and established his independent rule. Vyankojaraj Bhosale and his successors kept expanding Saraswati Mahal Granthali. Sarfojiraj Bhosale contributed the most in this expansion. In 1918 the library was renamed as the Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj Vastusangrahalaya Tanjavur Maharaja Sarfaji Saraswati Mahal Library. In his the building of the museum is built in Indo-Gothic style. It has been given the status of Grade I heritage building in Mumbai. The museum houses about 50,000 antiquities divided into 3 categories: arts, archaeology, and natural history. 9.3 Libraries and Archives Honor. There are several noteworthy libraries in India, for instance, National Library, Kolkata, Nehru Memorial Museum and Library, Delhi, State Central Library, Hyderabad, Library of Asiatic Society and David Sassoon Library, Mumbai, etc. From the technical point of view, the management of archives is akin to library. Libraries are the storehouses of management, preserving documents with knowledge and information. Library science, important content in their original condition, is very closely related to management. Preparing indexes and creating accurate science, information technology, and the systems of retrieval of documents are the field of education. Libraries perform important tasks in the management of various tasks like collecting books, arranging archives. Documents from the archives are them systematically, conservation and supposed to be very reliable. Because of preservation of those books, dissemination, the heavy dependency on computerized of information sources, etc. Many of these systems information technology has tasks are completed with the help of become an inevitable part of the computerized systems. To make a book, management of libraries and archives available to a reader as per his requirement. The first official archives of India is the most important aspect of library. The Imperial Record Department was management. Established in 1891 CE in Kolkata. The Royal Library of Ashurbanipal was shifted to Delhi in 1911 CE, 7th century BCE, the Assyrian Emperor in 1998 CE. The then President of in Mesopotamia, the library at Takshashila, India, Honorable K.R. Narayanan opened university, 5th century B.C.E. 5th century. The archives for public. It is a department CE, and the library in Alexandria, under the jurisdiction of the Ministry of Egypt, 4th century BCE, are supposed culture of the Indian government. To be the earliest libraries in the world. Documents have been preserved here in the Saraswati Mahal Granthalayi in chronological order from 1748. It includes 62 records in English, Arabic, Hindi, Persian, Sanskrit and Urdu languages. It also includes records in Modi script. These records are classified in 4 categories: public records, oriental studies, manuscripts, and private records. Governments of every state in India maintain independent archives. The archives of Maharashtra state government has branches in Mumbai, Pune, Kolhapur, Aurangabad, and Nagpur. There are about 5 crore Modi documents related to Maratha history in the Pune branch. These documents are referred to as Peshwa Daftar. 9.4 Encyclopedias. Encyclopedia is a systematic compilation of information or knowledge of various topics. The information or knowledge in encyclopedia is arranged with a specified method. Organizing available knowledge and making it accessible is the main objective of encyclopedias. Benefits of encyclopedia. Encyclopedias make vast volume of knowledge accessible to readers. It can help in satisfying their curiosity. Encyclopedias provide fundamental information on any topic, in order to understand it properly. Thus, the reader gets motivated to read extensively. Encyclopedias make the existing knowledge easily accessible to scholars and researchers and also highlight the research areas, which have not yet received enough attention. Encyclopedias are indicators of the state of cultural ripeness of a society. The intellectual and cultural needs of a society determine what kind of encyclopedic literature would be created. Accuracy, meticulousness, objectivity, standardized format of presentation and updated information are the criteria for designing a structure of an encyclopedia. In order to incorporate the latest available information, revised editions of encyclopedias or supplements to original editions need to be published. Encyclopedias are arranged either in alphabetical order or according to the order of topics. The type of order is decided by keeping the convenience of readers in mind and the ease of accessibility to the information. An index at the end of the encyclopedia is very convenient in this regard. The encyclopedia can be created either by a single editor or an editorial committee. The articles in the encyclopedia are written by subject experts. Types of encyclopedia. Encyclopedias can be approximately divided into 4 types. 1. Dictionaries. 2. Comprehensive encyclopedia, Vishvakosh. 3. Encyclopedic, Kosh Satrush, literature. 4. Indexes. 1. Dictionaries. Dictionaries arrange the words in a language in certain order. Alphabetical order is more common. It gives meanings of words, synonyms, and etymology. There are various types of dictionaries: comprehensive dictionaries, dictionaries which include only certain type of words, dictionaries of terminology, deals with terms peculiar to a branch of knowledge, etymological dictionaries, thesaurus, dictionaries of idioms and proverbs, etc. 2. Comprehensive encyclopedia, Vishvakosh. There are two types of Vishvakosh. A. It includes all subjects under the sun, for example, Encyclopedia Britannica, Maharashtriya Diniyankosh, Marathi Vishvakosh, etc. B. It includes comprehensive information on one chosen 63 subject. For example, Bharatiya Samskruti Kosh, Vyayam Diniyankosh, etc. 3. Encyclopedic, Kosh Satrush, literature. It is similar to an encyclopedia which comprises scholarly articles providing information on all possible aspects of one or more predetermined subjects. For example, Maharashtra Jivan, Vol. IN2, Shahar Pun, Vol. IN2, Yearbook, Manorama, Times of India, etc. 4. Indexes. An index usually occurs at the end of a book. Indexes are the alphabetical lists of individuals, subjects, places, keywords, reference books, etc. For example, the index of Marathi periodicals prepared by S.G. Date. Indexes are helpful in finding required information, and it makes the information in a book easily accessible. Encyclopedia and history. Encyclopedia and history as academic exercises put stress on objectivity. Encyclopedias published in various countries and in various languages may differ in their approach because of different priorities. Their structure is influenced by national policies, ethical values, and ideals. Encyclopedias can be a medium of strengthening national identity. For example, Bharatiya Samskruti Kosh, edited by Mahadev Shastri Joshi. Making knowledge in all spheres of life accessible to everybody can be one of the major drives behind the creation of encyclopedias. An inspiration to gain and spread knowledge motivates either individuals or a group of people to create encyclopedias. Hence, encyclopedias are looked upon as outstanding achievements of a society. It is the manifestation of the collective intellect and creativity of a society. Do you know? The following are the early encyclopedias. 1. Natural history was the first encyclopedia by Pliny the Elder. 1st century AD. 2. Encyclopedia, the Encyclopedia by Diderot, the French philosopher of the 18th century CE. 3. Encyclopedia Britannica. This encyclopedia was first published in 1767 CE. This is supposed to be an important milestone in the making of encyclopedia. There is an ancient tradition of dictionaries like Nyantu, Shabdakosh, etc. The encyclopedic works of Mahanabhav sect, Rajavyavahar Kosh prepared during the reign of Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj are important in the books of medieval period. Encyclopedias on history-related subjects. There is a rich tradition of creating encyclopedias on history-related subjects. Bharavarshiya Prakan Hasik Kosh by Raghunath Bhaskar Godbole, 1876, is the earliest encyclopedia of this kind. It includes information about various individuals and places in ancient India. According to the editor, those individuals who lived in Bharatvarsha earned a name for themselves and were part of us along with their women, their sons, their religions, their lands and capitals, also the rivers and mountains in their lands. Whatever their history is given in this encyclopedia. 23 volumes of Maharashtriya Diniyankosh, edited by Sridhar Venkatesh Ketkar, are available. The major drive for Ketkar in creating it was to facilitate wider access to knowledge, and to expand the intellectual sphere of Marathi-speaking people. His was far-reaching view of history, which is reflected in these volumes. 64 Barabarshiya Charitrakosh is another important encyclopedia. Siddheshwar Shastri Chitrav established a committee, known as Bharatiya Charitrakosh Mandal, for publishing this encyclopedia. 3 volumes were published, namely, Barabarshiya Prakan Charitrakosh, 1932, Barabarshiya Madhyayajan Charitrakosh, 1937, and Barabarshiya Arvachin Charitrakosh, 1946. The first volume includes information on the lives of individuals mentioned in the Vedic literature, including Shruti, Samruti, Sutras, Vedanas, Upanishads, also Puranas, Jain and Buddhist literature. Similarly, other 2 volumes contain biographies of individuals in the respective periods. Mahanabhav sect. It gives us an inkling about Maharashtra in those days. It also gives details about the time, place, and background of the events described in Leela Charitra. Hence, it is a very good source for writing about the life of Chakradhar Swami. 2. Prakan Bharatiya Sthalakosh, 1969, Siddheshwar Shastri Chitrav compiled this encyclopedic book. It provides information about various places mentioned in Vedic literature, Kautilya Arthashastra, Panini's grammar, Valmiki Ramayana, Mahabharata, Puranas, medieval Sanskrit literature and Shabdkosh, also, in Jain and Buddhist literature, in Greek, Chinese, Persian literature. Do you know? Some special encyclopedias. 1. Sangeet Shastrakar Va Kalabant Yansha Itihas, Lakshman Dattatreya Joshi. 2. Krantikarakancha Charitrakosh, Sr. Date. It contains biographies and illustrations of about 250 Indian revolutionaries. 3. Svatantraya Sainik Charitrakosh, N. Arphatak. It contains the biographies of those who suffered corporal punishment, imprisonment, and those who devoted their life for independence movement. Sthalakosh, geographic information is essential for historical studies. Encyclopedias giving information about historical places are available. 1. Sthanapathi, 14th century CE, is an encyclopedic text, which is composed by Muni Vyas of Mahanabhav sect. It describes all those places visited by Chakradhar Swami, the founder of Vishvakash, the first chief minister of Maharashtra, Honorable Shri Yaswantrao Chavayan initiated the compilation of Marathi Vishvakash through Maharashtra Rajya Sahitya Samskriti Mandal, with a view to enhance the sphere of Marathi language and literature. The work was started under the guidance of Tarktirth Lakshman Shastri Joshi. It contains knowledge about all possible subjects in the world. It also contains very important entries about history. Bharatiya Samskriti Kosh, 10 volumes of Bharatiya Samskriti Kosh were edited and published by Mahadev Shastri Joshi. These volumes contain information about Indian history, geography, various ethnic and lingual groups, local history of those groups, their festivals, and other cultural aspects. Samdhna Kosh, there are encyclopedic texts explaining the terminology, for instance, colonialism, globalization, etc., of history. Such texts are very useful for the teachers of history. 65 School, college, and university teachers of history can find ample opportunities in the field of publication of encyclopedias. Encyclopedias of all types require experts in history. Every subject has a developmental history. Scholars of history can contribute significantly to encyclopedias of various types. After studying this textbook, you must have noted that with specialization in history one can get access to several career opportunities in various fields. You can choose your future career with the help of the information in this textbook.